Today has been such a long time coming, and I can't wait to share it with y'all. Let's jump into it. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. My name is Garmin. This is the Storycraft Society, and this video is one that is born out of just absolutely pure bubbling over excitement on my part. This is a video that I have to make. It's not one that I am choosing to make just because I am so stinking excited for this day today. This beautiful, exciting, super great day. So what's going on that has me so unbelievably excited? Well, I'll tell you. My D&D group has been preparing for the last 4 or 5 months to get ready for our next long-term campaign. And today is the day. Today. Actually, this might be a week or two after the day. But the day that I'm filming this is the day that we start. It's session 1. I would like to go through all of the ridiculous hoops that I have jumped through to get ready to DM this game because I'm just so proud of every step of it. I'm so proud of all of the hard work that my players have put in, and I'm gonna show you where I got some of my inspiration from, and I have so much stuff. It's exciting. Let's start talking about it. I'm gonna try to get out of the way here so that I can talk, you can hear me, but also you can see the map. This is Tracina. Tracina is my homebrew world, continent that I have been running in since I've started playing homebrew Dungeons and Dragons. It is very inspired by a lot of the things like The Witcher that I'm a huge fan of, but it is also inspired and flavored greatly by my players who have given me so many great ideas to develop out all the parts of it. And what I've been trying to do for a long time is each time I run a new long-term campaign, I try to run it in a new area of the world. I ran one in Dunwich, which was kind of in this central area there. Then I ran one up in Three Kingdoms, which was up in that area, up in that corner. And then this game is taking place in Bodorangora, which is down here on this side. Did you hear that? Was that my chair? I don't know. Takes place over in Bodorangora. Definitely is my chair. So my starting place, which really started to amp up all of my dedication, we'll call it, to getting this game up and ready to run is I started by writing a primer for my players. Now, I think that primers are a phenomenal place for all GMs to start. What it does is by writing it yourself, you get to flavor all of the things in the world in a way that relate to your players. And I really went kind of overboard with this one. I think my primer clocked in at 28 pages. I'm sure I'm running it on screen right now, but not only write-ups of the socio-political, economic, religious, and military sections of Bodorangora as a kingdom, but also a history of the region. I also did write-ups on all of the factions in the region. I did a huge chunk where I broke down every single key settlement in Bodorangora, and then I did not only a write-up of it and what businesses and points of interest are there, but I also wrote up an adventure rumors table for each of the settlements that my players could either choose to write into their backstory or choose to ignore, but it's things that anybody would know about the different settlements. Of course, writing that took me a while, and once I got it done, I sent it out to all of my players and they could start thinking about where their character vision fits into the world. With a 28-page primer, I do not expect any of my players to read it cover to cover. It would be awesome if they did. However, this is going to be my player compliment number 1 of this video. I'm going to compliment them a lot. They all do. I am just so blessed with really great players. Shout out Elon. He was actually pestering me to get it done because he was so excited to read it. So I'm very fortunate to have players that are that engaged in the process and in not just their characters, but also my world. The next two major endeavors that I took on is making maps of the localized area, as well as a map of the town that we're going to be starting in. So this game obviously is taking place down on this part of Tracina that I call the Little Coast. So I got to work in Incarnate making up that regional map. For me, I liked the color palette that I ended up with, and it felt like a really solid finished product. Then I knew that the game was going to be starting in the town of Yernden, where they have this big festival that's like, in America, we have a 4th of July celebration to celebrate, the United States. And so they have the Sun and Spring Festival, which is like a week-long, big, like Ren Fair type thing that happens every year in kind of a 4th of July kind of way. That is going to be where the game starts. So I wanted to make up a map of Yernden and the Sun and Spring Festival. And as pleased as I was with the regional map, I was even more pleased with this map. It was my first time making anything that looked like a festival map. I had to figure out the tent rows and all of the neighborhoods, and I wanted them to feel uniform, but also unique. And so this was really fun to just play on Incarnate until I got it right. So as far as the timeline goes, once I had all of that done, it was time to open the floodgates, give it to the players, and see what comes out of it. Slowly, my players started building their character visions. All of them watch these videos, so I am not going to give away any secrets of characters or anything, but it took some of my players a few weeks to develop their character visions. Others, Olivia being one of them that took a little bit longer, it took her the full 4 months to really develop her character vision. And I know that that probably sounds scary to a lot of role-playing tabletop D&D groups out there, but for me, I really like it because my players are getting into the psychology of the characters, understanding where they come from, how they've lived in the world, and then over those months of talking about the characters, I'm on the phone with them once every week, maybe once every other week, and we're having long, hour and a half long chats about the characters and the NPCs that they know and the things that they did when they were younger. Part of the fun of this process for me is just getting to talk with my friends and write stories with my friends. One of the things that I have them do as part of designing their characters is get me character art. And then I take that character art and I make any modifications or things that they would like done to it. Sometimes it's just as simple as I like this character, but I want them to have brown hair instead of blonde hair. But sometimes it's more complicated, like I want this chick to be holding no sword, and I want magic to be traveling in between their hands. Or I want this kobold to be purple instead of red, and have feather hair, and have arcane enchantments on the bracers. But taking those character portraits and making them into my character initiative cards is a thing that takes me a while, but that's the end goal. I have these cool character initiative cards that I run all along my DM screen, and it really not only shows off the character's name, but it also should show off some of the character's personality. So even just looking at the initiative card, the other players should get a sense of who they are playing with at the table. That art just keeps it engaging for me, and I think it keeps it engaging for my players. So I have written up the world, I have made all of the maps, I've figured out who my characters are. Now it's time to figure out what story is going to be told. Now I had kind of a couple of seeds in the world that the world building helped me to create what could be potential overarching stories. I like to wait until I have a better vision of my characters before I anchor down the actual adventure, because I can't guarantee that every group of adventurers would be a good fit for every adventure. The next thing that I did was I started to figure out what that adventure looked like using my character backstories and all of my player feedback. They're writing the story. They don't realize it. As they're telling me stuff that happened in their character's past, that allows me to mine that stuff and turn it into little juicy nuggets of future character development and story. It's a lot of fun. And so as I was working through that, then it was time for my session zeros. So for those who don't know, a session zero is the session that you typically do before the campaign starts, where everybody gets together and makes their characters and learns about the world. Well, my group kind of does it a little more. We do individual session zeros. So I have a solo session zero with each one of my players. This time what I did was their characters are not going to end up together until the very end of the Sun and Spring Festival. So all of their session zeros were finalizing all of their character decisions and helping them to decide what mechanical character class and race and all that stuff that they were playing, but also them getting to role play just with me their exploration of this festival. They get to go play the games, they get to try the food, they get to do all of the entertainment. And then now what I love about that is that my players are not improvising that experience when they get to session one and they all sit down to the table and my character looks at your character and says, "What have you been up to at the Sun and Spring Festival this week?" They can now share in the experiences of like, "Oh, you tried that restaurant? I tried that restaurant too." It feels so much more tangible. It feels like a real experience, and I just love that so much, watching my players get to roll with that actual life experience, not just making it up and pretending in the moment. The session zeros were ridiculous. I still am blown away by it. The first two I did, I kind of combined them into one night. It was 2.5 hours for each of the players, and both of them got super rushed, and I was like, okay, I'm not going to do that again. And then the next one I did was 3.5 hours, and that got rushed, and I was like, dang, I didn't think it was going to get rushed. The next one was 4.5 hours, and we were still rushing at the end because we were having such a good time. I am so fortunate. I'm so fortunate. My players, they're so bought into the experience, and that makes me so excited to run again next week. Here's a little player tip. Be bought into the experience that your GM is trying to give you. The more you buy in, the more they'll throw back at you, and that just makes everybody have a better time. That all got wrapped up in the past few weeks. Let's talk about this week. Also, I'm realizing this is becoming a very long video, and I don't even care because I'm so excited about all this stuff. I want to talk about it. So that's what we're doing. This week, I've had to do the actual physical prints of stuff. What do I mean by that? Well, I have props. Obviously, you don't have a session one without props. There's going to be things, physical things that I'm handing to my players to make them feel like they are in the world. Those are always super fun to make. I really enjoy prop making in general. These are all just paper props, with the exception of this treasure chest, which is going to come out in a later session. I also print out all of the magic item cards that the players will have. I have a long-standing rule with my players that I print out a card for their magic items, and then they have to hold on to those. If they lose the card, they lose the magic item. It's just a tabletop contractual thing between me and my players of, I will give you these awesome cards that will have, descriptions of the item and what it does and all that stuff. You just have to manage it and keep track of it. I've also spent a whole bunch of time this week writing out all of my description boxes for session one and then practicing those much like you would rehearse a play or something. I am standing behind my DM screen reading those over and over and over again, so I get used to delivering those. I think about, I'm going to deliver this line to this player, I'm going to deliver this line to this player, I'm going to deliver this line to this player. It's quiet. The dense blue-black of the early morning sky is just beginning to hint at color on the horizon. A midsummer dew still clings to the ground everywhere, giving the whole ground a glossy sheen. Everything seems to sparkle as though it were enchanted with as though it were enchanted with excitement for the day to come. The quiet isn't actual quiet, though. Even though you can hear the chirping of crickets and early morning birds, the Sun and Spring Festival grounds are always awake in some form or another. A three-piece band is playing a lilting elven ballad. at the music tent in the littlest shire. A duo of dung sweepers walks alongside a donkey-pulled cart down the festival main street, scooping aside dung and trash from the day before. They pass a stumbling crew of late 20-somethings. That makes me feel comfortable. Do I have to stick with that once I actually get behind the screen? No, and it never goes that way. But I feel more confident as a DM, as a storyteller, as a game runner to do it that way. And I encourage a lot of DMs out there to try and find ways to make themselves comfortable behind the screen. If that's lots of practice, do that. If it's more improvisational, off the cuff, I don't have to remember what I wrote, I can just say, that's awesome. Find pictures that you can describe from. That way you've got a very clear thing and you can just describe it on the spot. What works for you? But all of that said, I did all that. All of it. I have compiled all the things and I've put them in line, and my players have compiled all their things and put them in line. And finally, today, it all comes to a head with session 1. Hopefully you enjoyed hearing all of the absolutely insane width of stuff that I do to get ready for my D&D long-term campaigns. I don't do this, just so we're all clear, I do not do this for every game that I run. Little, mini series that are like 4 or 5 games or one shots or whatever. I do not do this. This is just for the big games where we're going to be in this story for a while, and I want it to feel epic and grand and like my players are coming to watch a TV show every week. I'm not ridiculous. Oh, I mean, I'm ridiculous, but thank you so much for watching this video. I'm gonna get off here because I'm just so excited to play. It's still like 4 hours or something until my players get here, and I'll just be bouncing around the house until they get here with excitement. Do all the YouTube stuff. If you enjoyed this video, definitely subscribe. Share this video with a friend that you think would enjoy it. That's the #1 way you can help out a small YouTube channel. Leave a like, comment, tell me something that I'm not doing crazy enough, that I should do more crazy, and I would love to hear all of that stuff, or tell me that I'm doing too much and I will tell you I'm not gonna stop, but that's your opinion and you can have it. Thank you for watching. Until next week, I'm gonna go play D&D. Oh, totally forgot. One of the things that happens is Olivia paints all of the player character miniatures. That's not something that I do, but she does it. And they're really, really good because she's like hella talented and stuff. So, yeah, that also happened. See you next week.